But no one's heard of him. Yeah, I think his poll rating at the time is 2% in the opinion polls. Yeltsin's is about 3 or 4%. Yeltsin is universally hated by this time. So how are they going to turn Putin from 2% in the polls to a credible presidential candidate who can beat the then favourite for the presidency, who's a real enemy of Yeltsin's, who Yeltsin thinks will be returning Russia to the communist past? And how do you do this? Well, you fight a short, victorious war. But Russia isn't at war with anybody, so there's a need to manufacture a war in order to turn Putin into a kind of war leader. First of all, there's an explosion in a Moscow shopping mall, and then a truck bomb blows up outside an army barracks in the southern Republic of Dagestan. And then there are 3 so-called apartment bombings where apartment blocks are blown up in the middle of the night.
Something like 300 Russian citizens, civilians, were killed in those bombings. And immediately the authorities said they were Chechens. Even before anyone came and did investigation in the place, they said Chechens did this, Chechen terrorists did this. And Putin's response was immediately send the army to Chechnya.
As of now, Putin's rating is 0. He was never regarded as a serious presidential contender, and I don't think that Yeltsin's approval will add much to that 0.
And Putin makes these speeches saying, I will wipe out the terrorists wherever they are, I will find them. If they're in the outhouse, I will rub them out in the outhouse. He's using real kind of mafia slang. He's going to be the big dog who can keep the country safe from these terrorists who are just slaughtering ordinary people. So suddenly his poll ratings start shooting up. Now, the interesting thing about the apartment bombings is that there's an awful lot of evidence that these were not in fact carried out by Chechen terrorists, that in fact the apartment bombings were a false flag operation by the FSB. For example, the expertise to blow up buildings in the very precise way that it was done, the explosive which was used to do them, which was only available to the Russian state. There was a failed bombing in the city of Ryazan. The people who planted the explosives were actually caught and turned out to be FSB agents. And then the head of the FSB comes out and says, well, no, that wasn't an attempted bombing at all. That was a training exercise by the FSB. So really, one might say that this is the kind of founding crime of the Putin regime, that actually Putin was prepared from the start to see hundreds of his own people blown up in order to secure his political power.